Welcome, all my lovely Edge dwellers and Edge dweller community members, because this is open house month, this month of February. So I have invited everybody to come in and participate in this episode of my laser light channel session, which is when I just channel like I do in the year ahead channeling, except it's not for the year ahead. It's whatever happens to come through. So if you're joining us as a visitor, welcome. If you're a part of the Patreon community, welcome back. It's lovely to have you here. I am recording this, so the recording will be available to everybody who's one of my free followers or part of the Patreon community, as we have this open house this month. So I'm going to channel for about half an hour, and then we'll come back at the end and have a brief chat discussion about what's in the session. And I'm just thinking, I don't know if we should record, maybe we should just record the chat as well. That might be interesting for the people who are coming to it in the replay. So that's going at the moment. So this is episode 4. And today is February the 24th, 2024. So that's kind of interesting. 2/24/24. Well, 2/24/2/24. Lots of interesting 2s and 24s in there. Don't know what that means, but it's always interesting. So I'm going to close my eyes, just because it's easier for me to remove myself when I'm channeling if I have my eyes closed. Therefore, I set my intention that this will be about 30 minutes. Usually it's about that, but I can't tell while I have my eyes closed. So I hope that the powers that be up there are doing that for me. When I tune in like this, what I'm doing is connecting into my higher self, my guides and helpers, any of the dead pets or dead relatives who happen to be around, your guides and helpers, and also my intergalactic community up there, and any angels that happen to be flying around yours or mine. And so we end up with quite a gang here. And what I ask to bring through is information that is going to be helpful, illuminating for all of us and for all the people who come to this in the replay further down the road. And there seems to be some intelligence about that is beyond my capacity to understand or absorb. I just trust that it's there and that it works that way. So this truly is me moving myself out of the way. I see myself when I'm doing this like a garden hose, where the water comes through the hose and I don't retain very much of what comes through. So I actually go back and listen to myself in the replay so that I remember all of what happened, which is kind of still a funny concept for me, but I've accepted that that's the way it is. So I will take a few deep breaths, and you might like to do that along with me. And then we'll see what comes through, and I know that it will be interesting, as it always is. Good day to all of you assembled. We say assembled because you come to us in many different ways, as we come to you also in many different ways. This is an incredibly important and pivotal time for the planet Earth. And as hopeless as things can appear to you on any given day, we would like to reassure you that all is moving in the direction of equanimity and of balance and of the upliftment of not only, excuse us for the yawn as we are adjusting energy, not only the upliftment of humans, but also all life on the planet at this time, including plant life and mineral life. You are entering into a time where the opposing forces, or what appears to be opposing forces, will begin to come together to dance. And by dance, we mean not mingle, not become as one, because the experiment on this planet at this time is still to participate in duality, but duality is moving into a more complete multiverse. And that means that there will be more options than just one polarity or another. In order for this to happen on the planet at this time, there will be some to and fro, as you would call it, and this may create some friction between different groups upon the earth. This has, to some extent, been negotiated already. There are some groups on the planet who will be exemplars, and some groups on the planet whose job it is to throw into greater relief that which is departing from the overall experience of life on the planet. You may feel that these individuals and or groups are contrary, behaving in a way that is contrary to what you have agreed are norms on your planet. In fact, they are here to speed up, and we say this advisedly because our concept of time is not the same as yours, but they are here to facilitate and speed up the recognition of what happens when you are divided in such an arbitrary fashion. There are great things happening upon your planet in pockets all over your civilized world, and we say civilized to mean the world that functions with books and media and computers and a codified culture. But there are also many important changes and experiments taking place within communities that you would consider to be primitive, but which are just living by a different code. There are members of both of these communities who are interacting with one another at this time, and who will begin to disseminate the findings that they have about what happens when you combine different ways of looking at your world, your culture, your politics, your economics. For it is time to redefine all of these in such a way that it invites change and gives you a model for being able to accommodate, invite and accommodate change as a general practice, instead of finding yourselves in environments where you expect that things will stay the same and change is an unwelcome intrusion. For in fact, change is the norm. This is not new. This is being discussed and has been discussed within philosophical circles, within cultural circles for many decades now. But this is now coming into the experience of what you call the common person, the person on the street. Each and every one of you has a unique part to play in this process. And just because your part may look like it does not have a huge impact on the world stage, does not mean it is not important in its own way. This means that what is change worthy or changeful or an alteration of how you have been doing things up until now, even though it's on an individual level, this does not mean that it is not impacting the whole. For the whole is made up of all the parts, and every time a part changes, it alters the whole. You are going to be finding that there are many, many of you making individual changes that are going to impact your communities, your cities, your countries, and that will impact the global environment. Eventually, you will have countries without borders that will be largely formed by geography and commonality and also shared culture, but they will not be exclusive, and they will change as your planet shifts in terms of its demographics, in terms of its weather patterns, and in terms of nature's adjustment to both of these. The animal kingdom is making shifts just as you are. Some of you interface with the animal kingdom more than others do. And so you will be aware, as these words are spoken, of how your animals or your animal friends are having to adjust in much the same way as you are having to adjust at the same time. They do not process it intellectually, and they rely on you if there are assistances to be provided. And in this sense, you are not responsible for them, but you collaborate with them, not only for their health, but for yours at the same time, assisting across the animal kingdom or assisting across cultures or nations is something that runs in both directions. It is a symbiotic process. You are going to need to live on this planet in a different way than you have been so far, because your weather patterns are changing enough that it will require that you live on the earth in a different way. Your scientists and your engineers are going to collaborate on this along, and by engineers, we also include architects in this, but you're going to look to your horticultural scientists, your agricultural scientists at the same time, because as you live differently on the planet, you're going to have to grow your food in different ways as well. And this is going to require, to some extent, manipulating genes and working with hybrid plants and hybrid species, you will have to do this very, very carefully so that you live within a code of ethics. These are presently being developed and will be proposed in the not too distant future. Things have taken a while on your planet to get to the place that they are right now, but from here on out, they will speed up exponentially. This is going to require the services, the wisdom, the intelligence, and the compassion of a group of people who will come to the fore and who have been prepared for just such an eventuality. You need not be afraid of this. You will have all the assistance that you need. So we encourage you to dream into it and imagine the best possible outcome. Nothing is too crazy, because this is how you will begin to create new possibilities. We would like you to consider that food is more than what you put into your body. Food is partly your interface with the animal and plant kingdoms. You will enjoy your food in different ways than you have so far. You will put food together in different ways. You will not, as you explored in your science fiction of many decades ago, survive solely on a pill that you eat once a day. For food is also a means of coming together in a form of discourse that will allow you to explore together, create together, and provide emotional support to one another. Food is not just what you put in your body to keep you healthy. It is much, much more than this. And so we encourage you to begin to come together in different ways of partaking of food, and include in that time enough. You are beyond the perspective of fast food, which does not mean that you can never eat a snack. But fast food does not allow your body to take nutrients into the cells, but it also does not allow you to commune with other beings. And that is part of what these breaks during the day to put food into your system are all about. The earth is going to begin to move again. This is already planned, and there are some people who live in parts of the world where there will be physical upheaval. Some of the people in these places are intending to leave the planet at that time. You may grieve the loss of them, but it is a movement and not a tragedy. Some others will go through this process and use it as an opportunity to move and redevelop and form groups who will create new ideas of how to live upon the planet. There are other parts of the planet that will become largely unlivable unless you create homes that can accommodate those climactic conditions. These are opportunities that will be arising on the planet and are involved in the planet finding a new equilibrium for itself. It does this periodically and needs to, but much of it is outside of your recorded history, which leads you to believe that it has not happened before, but it has. As it happens again, your scientists archaeologists, as you call them, historians, will begin to uncover more evidence of civilizations that have been through this process before. Without the upheaval on the physical planet, you would not have access to this information. Some of these civilizations did not make it through these changes, but many of you who are alive on the planet at this time have lived through these changes in other time frames. Bearing in mind here, as we have said to you many times, that time and space are not what you think of them as, and that means that you can live in more than one era at the same time. There will be bleed through of information as you quote unquote remember from other lifetimes. Actually, this information is sliding across from one form of consciousness to another and will be highly useful to you. It will also allow you to heal some of the traumas from having lost your lives, quote unquote, lost your lives in those times. We repeat here that there is nothing to be afraid of. There will be change. It may be tumultuous in some areas, but this is not to be afraid of. Whenever you create change through your consciousness, your will, your desire on this planet, you also equip yourselves with all the resources, intellectual and otherwise, to be able to cope with the changes that you have brought about in your environment. This is always the case, but you are moving into a time in your human history where you are more aware of what you're doing and how you're doing it. The process will be more transparent than it has been in your quote unquote recorded history. Your water supply is going to change. There is not less water on the planet, and so you will find other ways to extract water where you need it. But one of the things that you are learning is how to respect and work with the natural resources on your planet in a better way, in a more balanced way. So you create shortages of things that you need in order that you can force yourself into being more creative about how you handle shortages of those resources and also abundance of those resources or other resources. When you have a shortage in one area, you always have an abundance in another area, because this is how the pendulum swings on the planet. Overall, there is always balance, but you have to know where to look for it. At this time on your planet, many of you are experiencing your physical bodies as holders of blockages of energy. We are telling you at this time that you do not need to hold those blocked energies. You can release them. In releasing them, you will help the planet also to release blocked energy, for you and the planet are one. You are dependent on the planet, but the planet is also dependent on you. And that means that the barnacle that is on the whale is dependent on the whale, but the whale is also dependent on the barnacles. You are one living entity. Your bodies are changing and adapting. The diseases, the scourge of diseases that you are experiencing at the moment you may read them as dis-eases, can be dealt with through a better understanding of how your energy and your emotions, which are energy, are affecting the way your bodies operate on the planet and within the environment in which you find yourself. This means that what you call cancer, which is really a huge variety of dis-eases within the body, are largely caused by belief systems that are out of sync with what is best for the spirit that inhabits your body. You are going to become more conscious of how this works. And as soon as you are conscious, you're going to be able to use your conscious awareness to release the blocks, which are what causes the dis-ease in the first place. It is nobody's fault that they experience the dis-ease that they do. And for you to look at it this way would be majorly counterproductive. You will know exactly what you need to know in order to be able to move blockages. If you do not remove them, and it is therefore time for you to depart this planet, then that is as you have chosen. And you may also choose to come back into another physical body and orient yourself in a different way. You do not have to come back as a baby. You can walk into the physical body of someone else who is choosing to leave. This has not been widely accepted within your scientific communities, but that does not mean that it does not happen. We believe that we have given you many ideas to experiment with here today. The first thing that you do is raise your awareness level, and you begin to come to terms with new concepts by discussing them with other people who are within your communities. We will bring you other information that will help to build upon what we have said today. And that is going to give you at the beginnings of a new structure for thinking about many of the changes that are taking place in your experience on this planet at this time. We have more to share with you at this moment. There are changes taking place in the weather patterns on the planet. We mentioned this earlier. We are at the moment showing Luca a picture of a balloon. This is a weather balloon, but it is more metaphorical than it is actual, because you have many sensitive devices that you can use right now to predict what is going to happen with your weather, much more sensitive than when you were using what you called weather balloons. Climate change, i.e., the change in the patterns of climate on the planet, do not mean your demise. So please do not feel that this is a catastrophe. This is change. And this change is going to require that you open your borders. For some countries will not be habitable in the way that you have experienced them until now. If you take those people and say that they can only come into other countries as second-class citizens, this will very soon become counterproductive because the earth changes are going to speed up. And the countries that do this will very quickly find themselves in a position where they are having to move to another country and become quote unquote second-class citizens. So this is not going to be an effective system for any of you. And this is going to require that you consider your planet in a different way. You will see changes in your method of organizing yourselves in societies. You currently call this politics, but this form of politics with which you are living at the moment is it is not sustainable in its current form and will have to change. But many forces will come together across many disciplines as you see them, and they will invite change within the systems that are affected one by the next. This means that there will be many hybrid communities and the coming together of professionals across many different disciplines. This is going to inaugurate hybrid professions, such as you have not conceived of yet. It will bring about a very exciting time on your planet in terms of knowledge and discoveries. We invite you to look at this as opportunity rather than threat. No individual is too small. No individual is too insignificant to participate in this process. If you have an imagination, if you have consciousness, if you have heart and compassion, then you have a role to play in the enormous changes that are coming to the planet in this time, in this age. We will leave you with these ideas, and we invite you to explore them with one another, with joy, with laughter. Do not be too serious about them, because that locks you into ways of looking at things that you are now ready to break out of. Thank you for being with us today. We thank Luca for being the channel. And we look forward to seeing you next time. Blessed be. Well, there we go.
Do you actually have any I don't know if you want to shake or say something, but I'm just curious if you have any energetic impressions as you come out or emotions.
I didn't feel as removed as I usually do. But also I noticed sort of peripherally that my voice didn't change as much as I usually experience it changing. It changes its cadence a bit. They get a little bit more formal than I am when I speak, but and they weren't. I don't know. Maybe I'm not in a good position to judge how fast it goes, but it didn't feel like they spoke quite as quickly as they sometimes do.
Yeah, I don't know if anyone else has any idea. I just was curious, right, on the perception as the vibrations are raising, because it's all about consciousness, just tap into your consciousness and it all's going to flow like a big boat, and you'll be rapids and there'll be and there'll be, right? It's kind of that idea, Yeah. Just anyone else have any? I have stuff here, but I'm curious if anyone wants to share any impressions on. It was a half hour kind of, and then, right?
It's a lot to absorb.
Yeah.
But hi Desiree, I also have the feeling that none of this is truly new. I mean, I don't know that I ever would have put it in exactly these words before, but I didn't feel like they said anything this time that that is completely beyond that would completely surprise me.
Yeah. So again, everyone's welcome to unmute and jump in, just in case that wasn't unclear, or, go ahead and stay quiet and listen.
Yeah, no, that's exactly what I felt. For me, it was at last, like the opening of the borders, there being no borders and having to treat, refugees and immigrants differently, and the releasing of politics. It just went, yep. And my question is when?
You're already there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But what obviously what seems like obvious to many of us that what was being said today was yes, of course, but we're still waiting for, I guess, for enough people to create change, like seeing our political system change. It needs to, but what is the new paradigm it's moving into? So it was interesting. Yeah, I loved it. It was great. Thank you, Luca, and the team. That was fantastic.
Yeah, does anyone else have any impressions they want to share? I think there's Ramona.
Yeah, this happens so often with Luca. I was laying down feeling exhausted, ready for my little cancer nap, right? It's like when you're in cancer, it's like, and I just happened to pick the phone up and just happened to look in the email and just push the little link and like, whoa, what's going on? Where am I? What's happening now? And it only took about 5 seconds to go, that's not Luca talking. I think this might have been the first time I'd seen you channel Luca channeling. Mm-hmm. So I noticed a lot of difference in your voice, like pretty quickly, because I just hadn't heard other, or maybe recorded sessions or something. But having cancer and the whole energy release stuff, I just thought, wow, because I've been working on trying to unblock my heart and my lung area of my body and just trying to really unblock that and release, and a lot of work to do there. So I found that whole, choosing to leave your body or someone else coming into your body very interesting. Yeah. I'm just pondering that.
I'm curious about how we're doing that, because I've known a number of people who've had cancer, and there's some that the medical community can do. They're highly reliant on this idea of chemo and radiation. Like once they discovered that, it was like, oh, okay, so that's how we're going to deal with it now. We do some surgery and then we do chemo and radiation. And I have the feeling that there are people like you out there, Ramona, where you're trying, you do what the medical community says you have to do in order to stay alive, but you're also curious about what else is going on, right? What else can you do to support yourself, even if it's just to support yourself through all the side effects from the chemo and radiation? And I think that there are a lot of us who are, it's like we're standing between, and that's what it really interested me about them saying that there's going to be hybrid professions, that the professions are going to have to come together to figure out other ways, because the ways that we've been doing it just aren't going to cut it anymore. And who knows what we'll come up with.
Just making a really quick comment. The Cancer Agency in Vancouver has something called Inspire Health, and it's cancer support care, and it's holistic, and it's like I go to an art therapist free, and I have these amazing yoga classes and amazing, like I can maybe see in a few years, maybe Luca, you'll be on there or something. I don't know. But the people get paid to do that, and they're working right now, not necessarily right with my oncologist, but it's through the Cancer Agency. I knew about it. So yeah, I see changes, and
that's great happening. That's so encouraging to hear.
I do think Western medicine has done a lot towards cancer, though. I mean, honestly, my treatment, I would probably not be even having that opportunity to stay in the body like
Mhm.
6 years
Yeah.
ago. So I'm grateful for that. And anyway,
Yeah.
And I do love as well that confirmation that came to me that although we may be in these moments of unknowingness, that recognition, like Ramona, you're out and you may find something new to try, that trying is changing it for everyone.
I
Even
think
though
so.
it,
Yes.
yeah, it could be such a small little perceived with our little brain thing, it's
Mhm.
significant to the holistic, human world, universe. So in that, I thank you. I give you much gratitude for that path that you're walking right now,
Yes.
and with your exploration.
Yeah.
I think cancer disintegrates your ego, actually, is what happens. So you just become part of
Yeah.
humanity.
Mm.
Like I have two friends who have been diagnosed with cancer since I was 1 year ago. I'm on my anniversary, and it's just this, not that I'm welcoming anyone to get cancer, but it is pretty incredible place to be. And unless you're there, I can't imagine anyway. Yeah, thanks.
No, well, thank you. Thank you for sharing. Really appreciate that a lot.
If I could add to that, I would, Ramona, if you're open to it, I had a
I'm open to
brush.
anything.
I had a brush with breast cancer at a hotspot, and I work holistically. That's my way. I prefer to, like, I only go to the doctor if I really need to, kind of thing. And so I worked with sound therapy, and there's systems. There's the Spooky 2 and the Rafe system. My practitioner used both, but he was also energetic, so he worked in the same sort of realm that Luca does. And that's how and I just worked 6-7 hours a day with the frequencies on the hotspot, and I was taking high dose vitamin C. That there's a medical intuitive that I work with here in New Zealand as well. So between the two of them, and within 3 months it was gone. So, but everybody's journey is different. The high dose vitamin C is well documented, particularly to help with the side effects with chemotherapy. It's
Well,
intravenous
maybe we
vitamin
better
C.
not talk about that because I might be in opposition to you.
Yeah.
Because cancer cells love vitamin C. That's what helps them to grow. But anyway, we can talk
Well,
later another time.
Yeah, you guys.
Yeah. But there are opportunities for, holistic approaches to support you through it as well.
For sure, for sure.
Mhm.
Yeah, and it's good to know. I guess what was the word that I like? First of all, Luca used, or the team used, those assembled.
Yeah.
It wasn't welcome everyone.
Mhm.
Welcome those assembled. So we're introducing and connecting already in a different way on that time. And also to recognize we're all change worthy. So you've got the word change and worthy together. Just noticing, different contexts that are being presented, right? And I like the countries without borders.
Yeah.
The symbiotic happening within the animal, with all systems, all kingdoms of of life. So again, I think to your point, Luca, that we know this, but it's another level of it. It's another level of remembrance. It's another level of introduction. Earth movements. Yes, we hear about things happening, right? And so now I think the opportunity with the information to remember from the inside out now versus waiting for the outside in to tell us stuff. And that stuff we can definitely continue to share, and maybe people already have lots of groups they belong to or different information that can be done, crossed over. And one of my favorites was the food, the fast food and the food.
Wasn't that interesting?
How do you consider what's food to you? Is it something you just slice and dice and put in your mouth, or what's our relationship with food?
And the
Mhm.
GMO
Yeah.
aspect, because most of us would go, no, thank you. If you
Yes.
have a choice, you go, thank you to the GMO. That was really interesting.
I couldn't believe that was coming out of my mouth. I thought,
know.
oh, I'm
Yeah.
sure I agree with that. But
Yeah.
maybe there's ways in which we haven't looked at it,
But I think that was the whole concept here is we all know we have current ideas and beliefs about things because this is where we are right at this moment. And that's perfect.
Yeah. Yeah.
But then there was the offering of knowing, guess what? We can change. Oh, look, there's a new moment here. Oh no, there's a new moment here, you know, depending on what comes and what's adapt. And maybe the speed's going to change. So maybe our little choo-choo train is going to get really fast and we're going to get steam and, you know, we're going to accelerate. But that's okay too, right? You know, whether people leave or people stay, or especially the walk-ins. I mean, that was pretty fascinating for me. I know people who are walk-ins. My cat's actually a walk-in. So to have that come in, I don't know if does anyone else have any walk-in?
Not
How do you
experienced,
know?
but I absolutely agree that it's, you know, it's happening. Yeah.
Yeah.
Jennifer,
There's
how
people
do you know?
Well, for my cat,
Yeah.
well,
I said it.
yeah, I mean, it's a longer story, but I came across some people online who are actually walk-ins and they've recorded in books and there's groups. And so I was looking at the features and the characteristics around it. And my cat went completely like she got sick and then the mannerisms and everything like completely changed. It's a completely different cat that's there, completely different personality. Luca
Right.
kind of like in a session kind of confirmed. I've had other people without asking that kind of confirmed the energy differences.
We looked at
I wonder how.
Midnight and I said, I think Midnight is getting ready to opt out.
Yeah.
And then
In a
all of a
Luca live
sudden,
session. Yeah.
he didn't, but she had a completely different personality.
Yeah.
Do you think a human being would know that they're a walk-in?
You would have signs. You feel like you feel really off, right? Because imagine a being, your essence of something in you don't have time to kind of adapt to the physical output and go through. You kind of come in, so you're off. You're not understanding certain parameters if you have a family or something else going on. So there are people, I mean, if anyone's curious, I can connect you, but there are people out there who are helping to facilitate those that are kind of coming in as you try and a lot of times there's a lot of illness involved, like Luca was saying, within the system. And so the current occupant decides best to leave, and then there's a new occupant decides to come in. And oftentimes there's that new occupant comes in, finds a way to heal what's going on in the physical and the emotional, like all the realms, all the body levels, to
like
integrate into that body. Yeah.
If someone maybe did survive cancer and they're in that small percentage and they end up thriving and maybe I don't know. I'm just wondering, I guess, I mean, it's just all speculation on my part, but
Exactly.
would you know that you're a walk-in? I guess is what I'm curious about, but anyway, doesn't matter.
I mean, it's all great curiosity, but I loved that. Yeah, that Luca, or what are we calling ourselves? That those assembled today got to witness the conversation on walk-ins.
Yeah.
I've never met anybody who claims to be a walk-in. Have you, Jennifer?
In person, online, I have. Like Sheila Seppi has a book on it, and she hosts, there's groups and everything out there that, they usually come in with a very intense purpose around healing or something. Like there's a very clear for them to come in and do that. Yeah.
There's a woman, I think she's Spanish, who's online. Her name is Inelia Benz. And I think she said she was a walk-in. So you can have a poke around online and see if you can find her. I don't know even how to spell Inelia, but you would have to experiment with different ways. But I found out about 10 years ago, maybe even 15. So it's been a while, but yeah.
I like the idea of being a walk-in, but not even needing to know or be aware you're a walk-in. You're just living your life.
Yeah, maybe.
And probably way more people are walk-ins and just don't have that sense that they are.
Yeah. And maybe animals too, right? If because they're not going to talk about it to us unless we go looking for the information.
And like, it feels that as we open up to more, again, this is change. If we change our awareness of what may be possible, then all of these become the norm as opposed to. So, you know, the more we chat, that's why I love this, you know, discussing these ideas that you said at the closing with joy, with laughter, right? To be ready to break out of whatever may be, you know, our current mode of thinking or being, and knowing we're going to bop in and out of it. That's what we do. It's okay, right? It's part of the fun. But to have people like all of us that are here, being able to be willing to even host and discuss this or listen to it or witness it. Because me talking to my wall sometimes is just not the same thing.
There was a huge amount of energy behind when they said nobody is too insignificant to make a difference. And I thought, because it's so easy to think that it's just little old me out here, you know, just banging my little drum, and am I really making any difference? If the tree falls in the forest and nobody hears it, did it actually make it, you know? I don't know, but that came through with a lot of energy as I experienced it.
That's fabulous. Well, I know our time, you know, is if anyone is feeling any final feelings, thoughts, words they wanted to share.
I just wanted to know, with this type of the galactic channeling, are these kind of topics what you'd normally talk about, or is this something slightly different from what you've done in the past?
Well, this channeled session, this is only the 4th episode that we've done.
Yeah.
But this is the kind of thing we talk about in the Cafe on the Edge. So that's what the paradigm shifters, that's that level. And it's because we're doing this kind of work, right? We're channeling, we're creating things along this line. So this kind of support is really, really important for what we're doing.
And the themes, to me, having remembered, because I get to I transcribe them, they are somewhat similar. So they are themes that are like, I don't know, galactic or whatever, but you know, we go down to relevant, but then it pulls out to you, but remember.
Yeah, don't forget here.
Don't forget. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah, I think they were more specific this time about the kinds of changes that are coming than they have been up until now, if I remember correctly. But yeah.
Yeah.
So we're talking about getting together on Tuesday to talk further about this with anybody who's interested. We haven't set a time yet. So we'll set a time on this, and we'll get it out within the community so that you know when it is, and you can come and chime in if you're interested, or you can send a message along to us, and we'll throw it into the conversation even though you're not here, because we'll record that as well. So, you know, if you can't make it, you know, we're happy to share that. That's all part of the open house this month. And I hope that you're enjoying it. And there's still time. It goes on until the 29th. So if there's anything that we've done that you want to go back and have a listen to, it's all still available. We sent out a reminder list to all of you. So feel free to go dip in and see if there's anything else that you'd like to partake of. So I think are we cooked? We're cooked for today? Yes? All right, so I'll just turn the recording off. And remember, you too can speak intuition.